is it fun for you to meet people that you've seen in, say movies or something, or is
it was
just
really fun when Paul McCartney told me I was great. That was really fun.
I would say so.
Yeah, he was like, I heard you on the fiddle, and I was like, you did? And he was like, yeah, you were excellent, you were great. And I was like, thank you.
Dude.
And that's all there was to it. But it was
so far.
Still, like, if you really think about that, I'm like,
I mean,
I would never have guessed.
You
I would
got
have
props
that
from
moment
a
in my life.
Beatle, Natalya.
There has got to be more than this.
Natalya Kay.
Hi.
It's so good to see you.
We used to be neighbors.
We used to be neighbors. Yeah. And that's part of the reason I feel like why we're here right now is because once neighbors, always neighbors in my book.
Yeah. This was the first place that I lived
you
when I
landed,
came to Nashville.
And you moved here from Boston.
Massachusetts, yeah.
Massachusetts.
Brookline, yeah.
And I feel like a lot of people know you, and a lot more people have gotten to know you in the last couple of years in your under the auspices of Gaelic Storm as their fiddler. Yeah. And congratulations on that. It's just Thanks. A great gig. And
it's been great.
Kind of life-changing, I imagine.
Absolutely. Like, in so many ways.
Life-changing, but also kind of well-deserved. Like, if people haven't heard you play, and we're going to get to, I think, hopefully get to play together a little bit in this podcast, you just are, genuine talent is a word I don't apply to everyone, but you just have it in spades. And I only know that because we got to jam together. We jammed together a couple of times, but one of them was at a front yard party that I had. And I knew that you were like, oh yeah, I play Irish fiddle, but I'm not really serious about it. That was a quote. That's a quote from you from 2 years ago.
Before I was a full-time musician.
Yeah. Before you were a full-time musician, you were like, it's just something I grew up doing. And I'm like, oh, cool. It's great to have a hobby. And we had like a little jam, and I'm like, this girl is not an amateur player. Like, this is like a for real talent. And maybe we could talk a little bit about that journey, like where that started. You were born and raised in Maine?
I was born in Tewksbury, Massachusetts, and then grew up in Lowell. The Maine connection, it's my grandfather who originally taught me fiddle, lives in Maine. So that's what you were remembering. But I got going on the fiddle lessons when I was 7. But my grandfather did teach me how to scratch out Twinkle Twinkle Little Star before then. So when I walked into my fiddle lesson, I had the fiddle and I knew a little bit of how to do it. Mm-hmm. And my mom kind of just picked that for me because obviously when you're 7, I was just doing what my mom tells me to do, and she just wanted me to learn the fiddle and learn Irish music. So there's Scotch-Irish in our heritage. So at first I was just doing it because I love my papa so much, and it's what he liked, and he listened to a lot of bluegrass and Irish and Scottish. Mm-hmm. So I just kind of wanted to do what would make him happy, and also I'm just doing what my mom's telling me to do is go to your fiddle lesson. And then I think for the first several years, I just got a lot of positive reinforcement from my relatives, from my grandparents, and so I was doing that. But then when I was 16 is when I took it on as a passion, and that became my social life. I went to Ireland for the first time when I was 16. And I got to connect with the kids who were playing Irish music, and I was playing in the pubs with kids my age, and it was just like this. Usually I'm playing in the living room in Massachusetts, and now I'm playing these same tunes, and it exists in this country and this these pubs. It was just alive for me.
Yeah.
And so I thought I wanted to just come back to Ireland all the time, and I was just obsessed with it.
And did you have repeated visits in your teenage years to Ireland after that first?
Yes.
That
so
first visit?
I went when I was 16, and then I did a competition, and I won first or second at the competition. I think I won first. I'm not sure. I did the competition.
Who knows? There's
twice.
Been so many awards.
Doesn't
it's
matter.
Hard to keep track.
No, there's just been these two. And I won the competition, and you have to go, if you win in New Jersey, then you can go to Ireland and you can compete in the All Ireland. So I really needed to win in order to have a reason to go, because I don't know, just financially or whatever. It was just well, if you're competing, I guess we have the money for it. So I went back and competed, didn't place because it's the All Ireland. You're just up against the champions and all of that. So, and then I started going once a year, sometimes twice, as I was an adult with my professional job and had the income and could do it. And then I would love to have said I've been back recently, but I went October 2019, and then I moved to Nashville November 2019, and COVID happened, and I haven't been back. No, I need to go. Real
You do.
bad.
I feel like.
Yeah.
Does Gaelic Storm play in Ireland ever, or is it's like a North American thing for the most part?
I don't know if they ever have, but they haven't recently. And
Yeah.
we don't have any plans to at the moment.
So when you were growing up, it seems like it would be that teacher, that first teacher, or the first, I don't know. Was there just one teacher when you were
I had
young? A few. But that was the guy or girl
Guy.
who really instilled the approach and the technique. Because Irish fiddle is
Actually,
different than
no.
bluegrass.
So I had to start out
Tell
with a
me.
classical teacher first because I didn't know. My mom didn't know.
Like
any-
Suzuki method?
Just
or?
like classical. I don't even know theory. So he was just like, I know how. It's my knowledge is weird because it's like I can read sheet music. Some people can't read the dots. I can read that, but I don't read the key signature. I don't even look at that. If there's a sharp, I know to do a sharp, and I can hear, like I can just tell as I'm playing, like, oh, that's gonna need a sharp or a flat, because I can just tell how it works. But I don't even bother to look at the key signature because it doesn't mean anything to me
Yeah.
until I educate myself, which I'm planning to do. But so yeah, I don't really know exactly what he was teaching me, just like kind of beginner stuff. Never talked about theory that I remember, and I was learning, like simple Bach or whatever. But my mom would print out Irish music, so she was listening to Celtic music regularly, and she had an ear to kind of tell, like, that sounds like a simple tune, some waltzes and some slower stuff. And so she would print that out, and my first teacher, Matt, would teach me that. And then I had a
the
teacher,
printed music that you would bring from your mom?
Yep. So, and that's what I wanted to learn, so I would mostly practice the Irish stuff. And then I had, funny enough, two teachers, Laurel Cesary and then Laurel Martin. Laurel Cesary was a classical teacher, and so she continued to teach me a little bit more like Vivaldi and stuff. And then I went to Laurel Martin, and that was my first actual Irish teacher. And I was with her for about 5 years, I'd say. And then one day at a lesson, she said, I've been thinking, and I think I've taught you everything I know, and I think you should find another teacher. And I remember like, are you breaking up with me? It was like my first breakup. But I came across, she recommended this man named Patrick Orseau, who lives in Toronto. He's French, and he lives in Toronto. And I did FaceTime lessons with him, which was a huge learning curve. But I was already, I guess, sort of advanced. So then I didn't have to learn all the basics, right? It was just I changed a lot of my technique through him.
Okay, let's talk about that. I mean, this is sort of a general interest podcast, and some people might not be familiar with the intricacies of the Irish fiddle approach. But one of those things that, I mean, is so striking to me is that like lilting, like little trill that's kind of everywhere in the figure.
There's the rolls, and there's the grace notes, and bow trebles,
And what would be the, like what, so what you're saying is when you went to Martin, you kind of had to relearn a little bit of the technique or unlearn some stuff or change your approach.
Laurel Martin was teaching me the majority of the tunes that I know I probably learned from her, because then we were 100% into Irish music, no more classical talk. I learned a lot of my stuff by ear. So I was great with ear training and memorization with her. She really instilled that skill in me, and she's also the one that brought me to Ireland, and she got me playing a lot because she would do, it's like small gigs in New England area, but she would always invite me up to play with her. So I got just a lot of, and she'd host house sessions, so just a lot of playing and a lot of listening to traditional Irish music. And I think for anything, just the more you listen to it, the more you get it in your system.
For sure.
And so I do think that really helped me develop my sound, just listening to a lot of Irish music with her. She was so good about diving into the old style. We're listening to really old scratchy tape recordings and like figuring out how they're slurring learning their bowing patterns just by ear.
Yeah.
It was just really good stuff like that. It was actually Patrick Orseau, though, that he like really
That's what I meant,
down.
Patrick. I'm sorry. I said Laurel.
So many names. But he like, we deconstructed a lot of what I was doing down to how I was holding my bow, and like I would do a roll with a third finger or a second finger, and he was saying always do a roll with a third finger if you can. Like there were just so many things that I was relearning with him, and I had already felt like I was advanced. I'm playing a lot, I'm playing fast, and then with him I had to break it all down and start slow again.
I wonder,
and that was really hard. I almost wanted to give up.
To me, this is fascinating, and I wonder if you would indulge me. And could we take a second, and you could you bust your fiddle out and kind of show a little bit of the difference between like a roll and a trill? Because even people are just listening to this will be able to hear the difference. And I think that'd be really interesting to people in terms of their appreciation of Irish music.
So
Nice.
a roll would be, and I was doing them with my second finger before I went to Patrick. And for some, like with the second finger.
Instead of, and now you do it like.
I do it with my third finger, which sounds like no difference, and I forget the reasoning why. But I do it with
It's
my
just
third
a
finger.
subtle difference, though.
I think he just liked, so his ear he's still alive, his ear is so good. It could be like a bad FaceTime connection, and you can't see me very well, or maybe even my whole, hands and everything are not in camera view, but he could hear everything I was doing, and so he would pick up on it. But yeah, a roll, I leave this first finger down and flick the third finger, and I just lift that first finger a tiny bit. And then just a grace note would be just a flick, so. So it's not the full roll, but it's just a flick with the note above. And then I love the bow trebles.
Yeah.
Which
Lovely.
I don't know how to teach anyone those, because I've had friends here ask me, and I'm like, I'm just going. And everyone knows how to chop here, and I actually am not very decent at chopping. But it's like the same thing, I think. But they can chop, and they don't know how to do the bow treble.
Yeah, I feel like that's pretty different. I mean, the chop is like a stick.
Yeah, I'm not going to try to chop.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I can't do it.
I'll do it, and then everyone can feel right at ease because.
Oh, I want to see your fiddle.
I mean, I play it. I'm not gonna do it right now, but I do enjoy making an effort now and then when nobody's in the house. Okay, so I bet that's really interesting because moving to Nashville, there is some kind of a Venn diagram of fiddling approaches, but the Irish thing is different enough. The things I would say like that bluegrass and Irish fiddling have in common is the swing. There's like a shuffle into Irish playing. Do you think that's fair to say? I'm not like that was a question and not a statement so much.
I'm not sure I know what you mean by
it's there. I mean, let's just not say the swing. I'll back it off and say there's a rhythmic pulse to the music that's like basic to the music and like fundamentally of fundamental importance, we could say. But there's a lot more improv in like the bluegrass approach to playing.
Yeah, because they'll take solos, and we don't take solos in Irish music. We improvise the tune with various ornamentation, but we're still sticking to the skeleton of the tune, and we don't take solos. And I've been like in like little sessions with people in Nashville, and I just keep playing and playing. Then I'm realizing they're like, when is she going to give us a chance? And I'm like, oh, sorry, I forgot we do solos around here because we're not used to it in Irish music. We don't all stop and then someone takes it and just runs with it. And it's so cool, and I love to learn how to do it, but I just don't have the practice with Irish.
Well, I feel like it's just like a different brain muscle or something, the improv thing. But I think this is a really interesting question because there is a parallel. I know a little bit more about the American side of fiddling and the tradition of music. And within that larger tradition, there's sort of a camp of old-timey fiddling approaches and bluegrassers, and the bluegrassers would be like more of the improv and guys that are like making a name, developing a unique style, and there's unique styles everywhere in all the lineages, but the old-timey guys are more like, this is the tune and we play the tune. Maybe there's a little bit of variation. And my question is there a camp, or is there a debate or a discussion in the Irish world about where the trad music ends and something kind of new begins that's like blasphemous? And
and I have like my own experience with that because I mentioned Laurel Martin, and she she was having me listen to all the old styles, and I had kind of taken it upon myself that I'm just going to carry the tradition. Like, someone has to just carry this sound forward so it doesn't die on these tape recordings. And I'm not the only person. I mean, there's a lot of great trad players in Ireland and beyond. But for me, I was just thinking, like, I'm just going to learn the pure Irish tradition and then just keep going with that. And I didn't really listen to, you know, the CDs that are branching out, and I would like to have everything be pretty traditional, whoever I was, like, playing with, you know. Like, I was just maybe a little cliquey about it, just in my preference. And now I play with Gaelic Storm, and we're, like, Celtic rock, like, we're jazzing things up, and I am doing that myself. When it's a tune, I'm still playing our tunes, like, I'm pretty, like, let's launch into something sounding really trad, because the rest of it, we're branching out, but this is Irish, so let's make it sound Irish sometimes. And, like, we're doing a new tune set, and I'm playing it pretty trad, but I've still, like, really let go of that huge, like, responsibility, and now I'm kind of having fun, and it's really nice to just kind of loosen up and not take it all too seriously.
Yeah.
But to be able to go, if I go to Ireland, like, I'm going to play it traditional in the pubs. I'm not going to walk in there and try to do some crazy stuff, you know? So to know how to still...
Patty, have you thought about playing it this way?
Totally. But I guess I was in that debate sometimes, and I was, like, in the, like, conservative side.
Traditional side,
of that. And now I've been easing up and having a lot of fun. Maybe rocking out a little bit more. It's
interesting because it's like there's obviously on some basic level the point of music is fun. I mean, maybe we could. That's maybe a controversial thing to say. I don't know.
No, it's not. But it's hard to not be so critical.
Yeah, but there is, like, with any great tradition, there's such a huge body of work, and then any one player that is just a part of this really. Laudable and timeless institution that predated that person and will hopefully post-date that person. So you are, as a person, are like, this is my contribution to this thing, or maybe even this is just like me carrying this thing forward. And the thing is fragile, right? And you do want to honor the past and the tradition. I think for me personally, I mean, I love improv music and participated in it, but I have a great respect for tradition, and in lots of things, because that's where we came from. And so I understand the people that would be of the mind to be like, hey, let's not change something just because. Yeah. But at the same time, if you're like, what, are we just playing chamber music in libraries now? You know, it's like, it's a living tradition, and living traditions change by definition. So
yeah, I think I decided at one point that there was no issue as long as someone who is doing something really modern isn't calling it a traditional Irish music. I think I kind of was like, it's okay, because we need all that new stuff, and anyone's art that's inside them, like, I want that to be expressed. But yeah, obviously if you're expressing something that is like your take on it, maybe don't call it traditional Irish music. But then if you just want to play the tune the way it was passed down, because a lot of Irish music was passed down by ear. So if you want to kind of help that be passed down again, and just make sure someone, like if you're a teacher, just make sure they know how the tune originally was. Just so they know, because that's part of the respect thing too, I think, is it's a tune that someone wrote.
The respect part, there's, that's not going to hurt anybody to have a little respect for the tradition. And also, to your point about, playing something new, and just as long as you don't call it trad, Gaelic Storm is,
we don't call ourselves trad, really. I think
it's a band. I mean, it's there to entertain and play shows, and also give people a taste of something that's authentically Irish.
And Pat's authentically Irish, that's for sure.
So you got that going. Yeah. To Pat, I mean, we were drinking, well, one of us is officially having a pint here during the podcast.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we could play a couple tunes together just for fun, and get back and talk a little bit more about it.
Some Irish tunes.
Well, we shall see. You're going to find out, and I look forward to that trial.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, I hope I did okay.
You did great.
Okay, so let's talk about you a little bit. And when I first met you, when you lived literally next door here in East Nashville, like I said earlier in the pod, you weren't looking to like be a professional musician or anything. You were just like getting away from your, you're just striking out and finding something new. Yes. Let's say.
I struck everything.
You struck.
Just restarted.
Consider it struck everything in times begone. And so I guess the obvious question is what changed that made you go like, okay, well, maybe there is a place for me in this. I remember, I'll just say personally, when you told me after we played, I heard you play, I'm just like, this girl has real freaking talent. And you were like, nah, I don't know if I want to do it. I'm just like, dude, you're kind of a star. You probably need to, I hope this opportunity happens for you. And then lo and behold, there was an opportunity. Maybe you could talk about, I would like to hear two things. One is how the opportunity to play with Gaelic Storm came about, and then two, what changed in your mentality about being more interested in this idea?
Yeah, so I always played music since I was little, and then I was playing like little performances all the time. And so family members would say like, you're going to grow up and be a music teacher, right? And I thought, no, that would be really boring to be a music teacher. For me, not for everyone else who wants to be one. But for me, I had no interest in even teaching music. And I felt like if I were a traditional Irish musician, I didn't feel like I'd be selling out big venues. So I thought that wouldn't be a good career. Because I just want to have, a comfortable life. I didn't want to be like driving myself to gigs and trying to get people to show up.
Pretty overrated, really.
I don't have that gene that's like, look at me, listen to me, pay attention to me. And sometimes I think I need to have more of that gene, just a little bit, because I err on the side of like, oh, who, like this podcast, like, what do I have to talk about? Why would I be here? Like, I do a lot of that thinking. And so it would be nice to maybe balance that out a little bit. But I don't have the thing of like self-promotion in me. So I just logically thought I wouldn't be a performer, and I don't even think I'll try to for a day. And I don't even remember a single day where I had that fantasy of that being my career. It just wasn't driving me at all. And then when I moved to Nashville, everyone thought, you're moving to Nashville to be a full-time musician. I thought, no, I'm just going to go find a corporate job. I was working corporately before I was even 18. I had a corporate job in Burlington, Massachusetts. So
why Nashville as opposed to Boston or Denver?
I just had kind of like seen people that I followed, through Instagram. I was very Christian, so I was following like worship leaders and people like that. And then they were moving to Nashville, so I thought like maybe if I moved there, I would go to whatever church they're going to and have friends and things like that. Nice. And then I got this opportunity to live here for a month and work for a woman who then I lived in her house with her and worked with her. And it was an amazing month for me. It was really transformational for me. So then I was like, I guess this really happened for me to move here. So then I moved here. So that's how Nashville, it was, a lot of things in my life have just kind of happened like really fast.
I mean, yeah, a lot of our lives.
Things just kind of show up at my doorstep and I go, okay, I guess.
But there's a little bit of an impulse where you have to take some kind of step forward and you weren't like, I'm going to move to Nashville. You're like, I'll try it out.
Yeah, I quit my job in Boston, and then if I hadn't quit that job, when the Nashville opportunity showed up, I would have been like, I have a job, I can't do it. So it was my choice on my own with no understanding of what my future held. It was kind of scary of like, I need to quit this job because I know I'm like, everything else in my life is declining because this is a really stressful Boston corporate job. And a lot of things were happening that just were too much and not enough pay and, things like that. So I quit that overnight. 2 weeks warning, but like 2 weeks notice, but like decided in one day I'm quitting and wrote the letter and just like, okay, I'm quitting. Because I'm kind of, I make fast decisions sometimes. So yeah, I had to make that choice, but then the Nashville opportunity came to me and then I chose to go through with that. And then I decided, okay, that means I think this happened for a reason, so I'll move here. Not to play music. I hadn't really been playing that much because the corporate job was so busy. I kind of lost myself. I was like, who even am I? I just complain about work where I work. Yeah. So
some people listening probably can relate.
Yeah. So we have to fast forward, I guess, because we go through COVID, and I had different jobs here. And then someone messaged me on Facebook about just a handful of shows, like 8 shows during COVID, like 50% capacity in Florida and Texas, like Celtic Christmas stuff. And I thought it was a joke because I'm like, it's COVID. This is just like a funny joke. But it was real. And so I did that. And I hadn't performed for a long time, but I was on a tour bus and we were doing some Celtic Christmas stuff. Met a girl named Louisa there, and she was friends with the manager of Gaelic Storm. So that's how that happened, because when Gaelic Storm needed a new fiddle player, they asked their manager, and their manager asked Louisa because she plays the violin, and she goes, I know a girl named Natalya. So one day I get a call from the manager of Gaelic Storm, and I didn't know anything about Gaelic Storm because, to circle back to what I mentioned earlier, I only listened to traditional stuff. And so I had no interest at the time in Gaelic Storm because I knew, like, oh, that's not traditional, so I don't care. So I wasn't listening to Gaelic Storm. But kind of, if you're in the Irish music world, you've probably heard the name Gaelic Storm because of how popular they are in that world. So I just, in my mind, I was like, I know that's like a huge band, but I don't know who they are. So just to get that call. And I literally was talking that guy out of why I would be a good pick. And my boyfriend at the time was like looking at me on the phone like, what are you doing? Because he could kind of tell like I'm getting some musical opportunity, and he could hear me be like, well, I don't really play anymore, and I don't think I want to tour, and he's like, what are you doing? So if it wasn't for him encouraging me, I wouldn't have even auditioned because I thought I didn't want that job. And I thought I didn't want to waste their money and their time and even audition. And he was like, just give them the opportunity to meet you. They have the money. They want to fly you out. Don't worry about the $300 it's going to cost them. But that sort of thing like would bog me down. And I'm like, I'm just wasting their time. I don't want to do it. I'd already decided it's not for me. I don't see myself touring. I don't want the commitment of you have to be stage ready, performance ready, day after day after day. And I just feel... At the time, I felt like a really delicate person, and I thought, like, I don't think I can do the road. Because you're just like, you can't have problems on the road. Yeah. You have to be okay.
Yeah.
So I have to credit
That's very
him.
well put. You can't have problems on the road.
There are a lot of problems that happen on the road.
They are inevitable, and also you can't have them.
You give a good show every night, no matter what's going on. But I do have to credit him, because if he hadn't encouraged me, I know I wouldn't have done it. And I cried. I was crying the day I had to leave for tour because I was so scared, because I was just jumping off into the deep end. I'd met the guys one time, and now I'm on it was like a 2.5-week tour.
What was the audition like?
It was at one of their houses in Chicago, and we sat at the table for a little while and talked, and we all got along great. Like the whole audition went really well. And I got back to the airport, and I texted my friends, and I was like, it went really well, but I still hope I don't get it, because if I get it, now I have to change my life. And I was just like, I don't know how to change my life like this. How do I suddenly become a full-time touring musician in a big popular band? How? No, that's what I'm thinking. And but less than 24 hours, they called me and offered it to me, and I was like, yay, I won, So I was like, yes, but I was
so there's a moment the phone rings. You recognize the number, or you're like, you just recognize the area code?
Yeah, I think I'd saved the manager's number in my phone, so I knew. And it was so soon, too, to call me. Like, if you're going to reject me, you're probably going to wait longer. So I kind of had a feeling I've gotten it. And I remember thinking, I'm like just happy right now, because it's nice when like you get chosen out of a few options. Yeah,
sure.
But I'm just like, so I'm a full-time musician now? What? But when I was behind that curtain, I remember being behind the velvet curtain, and there's like audience out there, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna just like step out and play.
Yeah.
I remember just like walking out there and just being happy and feeling like I belonged, and I liked feeling the light on me, and I liked looking at the people, and I liked smiling and playing, and it was like, it's been the best thing.
So fun.
It's helped me with my social life. It's helped me get more comfortable just being around people, because you talk to people after shows, and you have to kind of help them. Like, you have to make small talk for them, because sometimes they don't really know what to say, because they're like, oh. It's helped me like gain confidence, and giving me, I don't know, I guess like more purpose or something. But
I mean, it's incredible. I mean, it's like
it just makes sense, because I always have played the fiddle, and now it's what I do.
It's such a great fit, and it's what I hear in the story that is so interesting in a way. Like, I can understand when you started this out by saying, I'm not like a self-promoter, and I don't have this need to make my mark on the world. That's not a driving principle. And yet you had this like this amazing gift, and not just a gift, but like years and years of practice and like realizing a valuable skill. And it's just an interesting thing where like your talent and preparation met this opportunity in a way that just kind of catapulted both things, you personally, and it was a great fit for Gaelic Storm. It sounds like, judging by all of the Instagram pics and the attendance, and it's been a really amazing journey.
And it's nice because people would ask me, like, are you going to make an album sometime? Because a lot of players who just love to play traditional Irish music, they might have another real job, like their corporate job, but they play on the weekends or whatever, and they've made albums because you can record at home, or friends have recording studios, you can do that. And people would ask me, are you going to do that? And I always just thought, no, because I have this thing in my brain where it's like, well, it's already been done better than how I am going to be able to do it. And so why would someone listen to my album when they can listen to Eileen Ivers instead? Or why, I have friends in Boston, I love their albums. Like, they could just listen to their album instead. Why mine? Mm-hmm. So I know it's bad. Like, it's silly to have that like, why me kind of mindset. And I'm working on it. But it's just the reality of my story is that I just thought, like, no, there are good albums out there. I don't need to make my own. But with Gaelic Storm, I do feel like I'm really good in that band, and I'm like, I belong here, and I'm doing a really good thing, and I don't think I would be replaceable. I could be. There are many great players out there, but it's something where I feel like this is a role that I'm made for, and so it's nice to feel that versus like, well, I'm sure she could do my job much better. Like, I actually really believe in my role in that band, so that feels good. It's
amazing.
really rewarding.
Yeah, and I like what you said too when you first walked. You were behind the curtain. You're just like, oh my God, what am I about to do? Yeah. And then moments later, you're like, I am absolutely at home here. Yes. I belong.
Yeah, that's how I felt.
And that's such a wonderful gift. I feel that way. When I'm on stage, I'm an awkward person socially, and I don't like parties very much, and I have a hard time talking to more than one person at a time. Blah blah blah, and I don't understand really what this need, like, unlike you, I've had a need to perform from a very young age. And but then again, like you said, you were encouraged when you were young, like people were kind of like, she can do it, or, and you believed them. And I think that's so important when you're a little kid to have an honest encouragement. Like, you don't want adults around you as a kid, like, falsely encouraging you or telling you you're good when you're not. That's, I think, probably harmful more than anything. But if you do have some kind of talent, you don't know that when you're a kid. You're just a kid. You're just doing a thing. But you get that encouragement, and it does encourage you, and you head down this little path, and you keep working at it, and you actually, like, maybe turn into something resembling a proficient artist. Anyway, I had a similar experience of just being encouraged at a young age, and believed them, and did get better at it. But my point is that for all of my introverted tendencies, I feel no more at home than when I'm on stage doing my version, my contribution to music and art. And that's a mighty thing, and a very, I think, a mysterious thing. And it's like there's a cosmic element at play here that found this girl, this homeschooled girl in the Northeast, and kind of against all our odds. Yeah, maybe that's a segue. Yeah, and then all of a sudden now you're here in this kind of blossoming, and your life is, I think, in the process of even maybe more radical change. Who knows? Maybe we can talk about it or not. But you've had some interesting collaborations lately, and one of which was with a fellow a lot of people know named Zac Brown. Maybe we could talk about how that came about.
Sure. Zac Brown knew Gaelic Storm guys like 15 plus years ago. They were on, I think, a couple of the rock boat cruise ships. Yeah. Both, them performing acts on that boat. So you're like on the boat for a week, and so they were all buddies and having a good time. And then Zac had his Southern Ground cruise ship, and he hired Gaelic Storm to be a band for that. And then I also know that they kind of met up in Europe at one point, like both of them on tour or something like that. So that was before my time, obviously. But
so Zac and Gaelic Storm have a past.
They have been
buddies.
They were buddies.
Yeah, okay.
They didn't keep in touch because Zac got really busy, and Gaelic Storm was, busy, but not as busy as Zac. So Gaelic Storm, it had been several years, but we were back on the rock boat in January, And John Driscoll Hopkins, who was a founding member of Zac Brown Band, was there with his band performing. And so he was able to reconnect and see all of the guys in my band and met me. And I don't even feel like we talked too much on that boat. I mean, I saw him a little bit every day or whatever, but I wasn't aware that I made an impression on him. Like, he had taken a video of me performing during one of our Gaelic Storm shows and showed it to Zac. And I guess he looked up other videos and felt like I had a nice, unique sound. He liked some of the Irish, the rolls and the grace notes like we talked about earlier. He was like, oh, that's unique. Maybe I can fit that into something. He loves finding people who have this like art and like helping them have an opportunity to share it. I've gone through his music and seen a lot of the collaborations, or just even knowing him the last few months.
He's kind of a famously gracious person, as I understand. I remember, like, this is probably 10 years ago, but he used to do sort of like the pre-show cookouts with his fans and everything. Yeah. It's so cool. I mean, it's like any artist that takes care of their fans. How kind
he is. Absolutely stunned by it. I didn't know anything about him. I didn't even know what he looked like when I got a message from him. Once again, I almost didn't show up because I was like, I think he's mistaken. Like, why would you want me to play on your... I haven't recorded anything before. I had just started putting some stuff down for Gaelic Storm. We might have a new album coming out eventually, and so working on that. But, like, all I know is how to do Irish music, and I'm just playing my Gaelic Storm stuff. I haven't branched out at all. I'm not even playing in town with, like, bluegrass players or anything else. So to have Zac Brown, which I'm like, once again, I know it's a big name, but I'm not really aware of all of his songs. I just know Chicken Fried. So I'm just thinking, like, yeah, look at the way I talked to the manager on Gaelic Storm, I'm like, yeah, I think you're calling the wrong person. Like, I'm not cut out for this. I was just thinking, like, it's going to be so mortifying when I get to the Southern Ground studio and he asked me to, like, play to something, and then I'm, like, trying to figure out what to do, and he's realizing, like, oh, this is not what I thought. And so I just was
You were trying to spare him that embarrassment.
Yeah. But my embarrassment, too, because I would have been like, oh, and then watching him, like, assuming, he's going to try to, like, use something that I gave him. But, like, I'm stuck with this now. I brought her in here. And, like, that's where my brain was. Not thinking, like, hell yeah, I'm going to go play with Zac Brown. I was like, I don't think so. So I remember sitting on the couch. I had told him, like, okay, I have this stuff going on. I might be able to make it down later today. And just being like, oh, am I going to do this? Why am I going to do this? So I showed up. And, he wanted me to play on this Jimmy Buffett tribute song. I'm like, for Jimmy Buffett, like, it was wild. So the next day I showed up in the studio and I sat down. It was like first thing in the morning. I had gotten the song the night before, so I'd listened to it a bunch and tried to figure out, like, okay, what could I play?
It's like, did you have to come up with a solo, or you just sort of kind of threading the needle?
I thought I'm just going to do, like, some pretty, like, little stuff in the background, because
you won't even see me.
Yeah, like, I'll do this because you asked me to, but you're gonna regret it, so I'll make sure it's not too much. Like, that's how my brain was thinking. So I'm listening to the song and I'm like finding what notes work. I don't have theory, so I don't know, like, oh, it's in the key of F, so I know exactly what to do. I'm like blindly stabbing away at the fiddle, trying to find what notes even work.
I'm glad I wasn't there. It was probably very painful to hear.
No, I did that in the secret of my home, and then I show up the next day. Show up, walk in, I'm trying to act calm, but inside I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm doing this. And then he was like, so I was thinking maybe you could, like, play, it could just start out with the violin. You could just play something pretty, and then the guitar will come in. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. I wasn't planning for that. So now I'm going to be in front of all these people, in front of Zac in the studio.
In the studio environment, which is a little stressful, let's be honest.
And so he lit...
bunch of dudes sitting around just like, let's see what you got.
They sit me down, they put cameras. Is it okay if we film?
Perfect, yeah.
Perfect. Sure. Lit the cameras, set up all the mics. He gets behind the thing. But before that, he lit Palo Santo. Is that how you say it? He lit that thing. He was just lighting it up, and he was just putting it all around. I had, like, smoke everywhere. I'm like, he can tell I need this. Because what does it do? It, like, clears out bad energy, I think.
It's a mystical power.
This girl does not believe in herself. And he was just, like, lighting half a stick up. Just, like, the whole place was full of Palo Santo. And I think I asked him, like, what's it for? And he's like, it's calming or something. And I was like, yeah, I need that. So, but it worked out. I played.
Did you improv that intro?
Yeah, I was just coming up with things. I love what I came up with. I gave him a lot of random stuff.
Look at you.
And he would always be like, yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm. That's money. and he would just like say
on the talk back. I see you pushing the talk back button.
Yeah.
There. Yeah.
And that's not really how he talks. I can't mimic him, but he would just be like really nice, and just everything I did, no matter what it was, he would tell me it was good. And then I'm thinking it's probably not. But anyway, I gave him enough to work with, and then we went in there and he picked stuff, and it's pretty. It's not a lot, but I think that's kind of important. It's not, you don't have to play all the time. Just find when it's supposed to be heard, you know? So it's just a little bit of violin kind of sneaking in and out around the music and around the chorus, and then there's a little short intro.
So that was a positive experience.
Overall,
it turned out to be okay.
I explained how I was like, oh, why am I here? But once again, like I ended up belonging. Mm-hmm. But I didn't realize I could do it until I did it. Have you?
I'm sure you've heard of like Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah.
And that
Winnie
series.
the Pooh?
No, you're not Winnie the Pooh.
I'm
You
Eeyore.
might be Eeyore. There's a book. Have you ever heard of the Tao of Pooh? It's kind of famous.
No.
It's 20 years old now or older, but it's great, and it's kind of like the guy who wrote it is sort of explaining the Tao through various characters in the Winnie the Pooh universe, and it's compelling and fun. And there's a sequel called The Tay of Piglet, Tao Te Ching, and I think I read that in high school or something. That was my first exposure to the Taoist ideas, and I found it really applicable. And when you're talking about that, like Eeyore obviously is like, I can't do that. This is only, but he's got this heart of gold, and everybody loves him, and it always works out, but like almost in spite of himself.
Yeah, and it's so silly. Like, no one be like me, and I'm working on it. I don't entertain too much like insecurity, because it's not healthy and it's not true, right? Mm-hmm. It's just totally not true. So I try to not believe those thoughts. But it's just, it's a humility thing, I guess, which is good. But I also it was a massive jump to go to playing with Zac Brown. It's a massive jump. And I think a lot of people were like, how did that happen? And I'm like, I don't know. It just happened. But I realized like a lot of people have played and played and played and played and performed and learned various styles of music and know theory and know how to improvise and have also done smaller albums and different recordings and and then it makes sense when you step into the next, and now it makes sense to play with Zac Brown. But for me, it's just like out of nowhere. So all of the talk about like, he's not going to think I'm good, it's a little silly to think that way, but also kind of logically makes sense that I didn't, that I was surprised it was happening and was a little confused by the whole thing.
Well, and also there's a fine line between being deferential and not self-aggrandizing, and being small so that other people don't feel intimidated by you. Mm-hmm. And it's really difficult to know where that line is. Mm-hmm. And so I feel like I have this, my godmother, who's a retired Unitarian minister. She has this phrase that Randa and I, my wife, talk about all the time, which is that our greatest assets taken too far become liabilities. Mm-hmm. I think it's very wise, because the things that make us, to be like not boastful is, I think, a virtue. Yeah. But to go so far as to be like, I just don't need
that. Can actually be attention seeking. That can be ego, actually.
Yeah, for sure.
Make it all about me and how I don't belong here, so everyone can go, yes,
tell me I'm wonderful.
And I don't want it to sound like that. I just want it to be what really was my reality. Walking into that experience with Zac was very much like, I don't know if he really understands who he's calling, and I don't personally understand why I'm needed here.
Well, I think that but the thing is that you have these feelings inside, and when you have those feelings, you have like this opportunity, and then you have these feelings that are like, I'm not worthy, I shouldn't be here, I don't deserve this. But then you have a choice, and you can still walk through that door and try that opportunity and take a chance, or you can not. And you seems like have continued to take those chances.
Every time it shows up.
And it's turned out to be fine. And I just feel like that's something that's so universal in all of the collective artist experience. I can say this personally, that I daily deal with insecurity and feelings of inadequacy. And I mean, in everything I do, I'm not good enough. I don't even know why I'm trying to write. I don't even know why I'm trying to sing. Like everyone does it better than me, on and on forever. But I still like sit down, I put my I get my word count out from my book that I'm working on right now, and I practice, and I stand up and I'll sing in front of people, and it's always fine. Yeah. And so it's like, I'm saying this not to say like yay me or yay you even, but just that like to acknowledge that this feeling of insecurity exists in, I think, every single creative person ever, no matter on what scale they're doing it. And the difference between people who become artists or have some participation in the creative space and who don't are the people who just like have the feeling and move forward anyway. And so it's like, I think that we're about to have a kid, and I'm very excited about it. And one of the things that I kind of got as a little kid, but not in a way that I felt like I needed to. And I've noticed this. I'm like, well, if I have a kid, I'm going to make sure that they know, like, you're allowed to feel however you need to feel. Like, however you feel important. Is absolutely valid.
Yeah.
You can't control your feelings. It's
like
true.
The feelings are true.
Yes. But you still have a choice.
Then you make a choice beyond that, but you have to understand if the feeling came up, that's a reality. Like, I don't...
Like, don't feel this way. Why are you sad?
But that's just not true, so the feeling doesn't matter. No, the feeling is right now in my chest. So it's very real and true. It's not fake. I didn't make it up. It's truly there. That's what I'm trying to say. But it doesn't... You might be feeling really sad, like, I'm ugly. And it's like, well, that's not true. But that feeling is true. So I think, talk about feelings with your kids for sure.
Cool, thanks. I'll tell you how it goes.
I'm stopping. I don't need to preach.
We'll talk again in 3 years. I'll tell you how it's going. Yeah, it was a terrible idea. I really needed it. No, okay, so we've talked about some biographical stuff. We got a little deep with the artist's journey stuff. Mm-hmm. Now I want to talk about something extremely shallow, which is you recently were at the Masters and you got to play. I
didn't play the Masters. Zach
played the Masters, but you were there.
Yeah.
But this is also, I don't even care if this is on the podcast, but I was just so gobsmacked because you were there. Like, it's one thing to be like the Masters and Zach's there. And so it's like, there's going to be a kind of a who's who of famous people. And there's famous people, but then there's like kind of gods on earth. Who? And there were a couple of gods on freaking planet Earth at that point. Well, yeah, probably you.
Tom Brady?
I mean, he's arguably a god, but I don't care about Tom Brady. Not like I care about Han Solo.
Okay, no, that was Hollywood Bowl.
Oh, that was at the Bowl.
Okay, I played Hollywood Bowl, and that was really cool.
You were, yeah.
I was thinking, why does he care about the Masters? I was just at Hollywood Bowl.
And that was Jimmy Buffett was there too. Oh, that was for the Jimmy Buffett tribute.
Right, so I do the song with Zach, right? I'm 2 days in the studio, and then I go off on tour, and then he messages me and says, do you want to play Hollywood Bowl with me? And I was just like... Like,
what am I going to contribute?
I have to say yes. It's ridiculous to say no, but the second I say yes, I'm nervous for the next month,
Yeah.
So I was very nervous about that, but I practiced really hard, and the day went beautifully. It was like very calm. There's everyone was on that stage. Everyone was there in sound check, and like you said, like some of the biggest names, Paul McCartney.
I was going to say Harrison Ford and Paul McCartney
the Eagles.
Were there. Amazing. All the Eagles were there. Jimmy Buffett was there.
No.
Was not there because he's not alive anymore.
Okay,
he was Kyle, just take that out. I have a hard enough time with credibility in this world.
His family was there.
His family was there.
The Jimmy Buffett's
family was there.
The Jimmy Buffett band, the Coral Reefers, were playing with us through the whole thing. Pitbull was there. Snoop Dogg was there.
Who wasn't there?
Jackson Brown.
Do you enjoy, like, there's a possibility that you would have more of these kinds of encounters in your life, and is it in the category of like take it or leave it? Is it fun for you to meet people that you've seen in say movies or something, or is it
was
just
really fun when Paul McCartney told me I was great. That was really fun.
I would say so.
Yeah, he was like, I heard you on the fiddle. And I was like, you did? And he was like, yeah, you were excellent. You were great. And I was like, thank you.
Dude.
And that's all there was to it. But it was
so far.
Still, like, if you really think about that,
I mean,
I would never have guessed.
You
I would
got
have
props
that
from a
moment in my life.
Beatle, Natalia. I
know. And you know what? Sadly, it's not like you would think that it should be, that if a member of the Beatles is going to tell you he saw you perform and I played 3 songs that night and you were great, you would think, you go, you know what, I'm great and I'm just going to stand by that forever. And it's like, it's never, not until I decide that I'm always great is it really going to stick. So it's kind of a good lesson because you can go like, what more do you want? Who else do you need to compliment
I think everybody listening would agree.
There's no one else.
What is it going to take, Natalya, to convince you?
I know, but it's just, there's always like, practice more and get better. And
this has been really fun to talk, and I just maybe our last little bit of like what's next, and in the sense, and this is like a musical question really, but it can be whatever you want. But if you could do whatever you want to do, like if you know, write it down on a piece of paper in 5 years now it's happening, 5 years from now it's happening, do you know what that would be? And that's fine if not. It's just,
I think the most important things are like having a healthy life and a healthy mind and authentic friendships and true love and
all these like, timeless things.
That's what I care about the most, because that is what matters the most. I do love to perform, and so I don't see that ending anytime soon. I see myself being with Gaelic Storm, and there could be future stuff with Zac. There could be future stuff with other people, and I have a banjo. I'd love to learn clawhammer banjo.
Me too.
I might, when we get off tour in November, I might actually hunker down and do that. I'd love to sing more too. So I really need to strengthen my vocal cords. So I have pretty good pitch, I think, but I really need to strengthen the muscles, or just understand breathing and all of that. So I'd like to kind of hone my skills. I'd like to learn theory. People who know me, who are watching this, have heard me say that for a long time, and I'm still just saying it, and I haven't done it yet, but I'd like to learn theory.
Yeah.
I'd like to...
as a guy who knows theory pretty good, like
it's not that hard, right?
it's not, I don't know. Also, like, there's so many great players that are professional that don't know theory. I mean, like, I think that the fact that you have an ear is by far and away the most important thing. You have an ear, and more importantly than that, you have like a true musical feeling in your heart that isn't a thing that you can teach, and it's a thing that you can immediately feel, though.
I'd like not to feel blind, though, because I know how to play my Irish music, but when with songs, if it's like, okay, you want to write, what should the fiddle do for this? I'm like, I don't have the notes, so now I have to come up with it, and I don't really know what I'm working with, because I'm kind of blindly finding what works, instead of knowing I'm in this key, and so these are my options, and I don't know that.
Yeah, but you also know that, like, oh, there's a sharp there. I should put that sharp there, just by your ear.
It's a really weird mixture of what I do and what I don't know.
Yeah.
And I always kind of get by the skin.
Like when you played an F to play the intro for the Zac song.
I don't know if it was an F. I forget what key that's in.
Well, whatever it was.
Yeah, I was just saying a name.
You're like, it's like, I know that this will probably be the right. And like, well, whatever. I'm not trying to coach you up. You don't need my help. Paul McCartney said you're great. Natalya Kay, thank you so much for hanging out. This has been really great.
Thank you so much.
I wish you the best.
Thank you. See you soon.
All right. Hey, thanks for watching. Go ahead and click here to like and subscribe. You can click right there to watch another video, or click here to watch a playlist featuring songs of the Morse Code podcast. Okay, thank you very much.